and that plant-based protein foods like legumes and whole grains offer ample dietary fiber and vitamins and minerals and other beneficial phytonutrients. So it's not that we should be neglecting some of those other foods. It's just to be aware that animal proteins and animal products are more likely to give you that complete amino acid profile and are therefore complete sources of protein. Welcome to Consistency Breeds Growth Radio. I am your host, Justin Romer. Our incredible guest and myself talk about the cutting-edge science and consistency necessary to reach your weight loss, wellness, and performance goals. If you have nutrition goals, we have customized nutrition programs and coaches that tell you how much, when, and what to eat for every single meal. And the best part? You don't need to calculate macros in an app. Ditch the calculators. Want to learn more about our intrinsic diet? Let one of our coaches know you listen to this podcast to get 10% off. Do you own a gym or attend a gym that wants to make some money and throw a top-notch nutrition challenge with a team of certified nutrition coaches? Our team will guide your members through a nutrition challenge customized for your gym. And you'll make money for each member who signs up. If you want more information about working with us one-on-one or in a gym setting, head over to consistencybreedsgrowth.com or email us at consistencybreedsgrowth@gmail.com. We will also put links in the show notes. Enjoy the podcast. What's up, team? We're back with another episode of CBG Radio. I just want to send you a quick reminder to join our community Facebook page. Why am I asking you to join this page? Well, let me tell you. Every month we run free monthly mini nutrition challenges. So like, for example, this month we set up a leaderboard. We're going to be giving away some prizes for the winners. And our challenge is all about, or it's themed, Big Ass Salad Challenge. So the goal for this, and I don't like to curse on a podcast, but it's part of the name of the actual challenge. So in this challenge, the goal is to eat one big salad per day, get in those greens, and then 2, grow your booty. So we got those 2 things going throughout this challenge, and me and my coaches are giving tips along the way to try to improve these health markers in terms of eating more greens and vegetables in your diet, specifically through salad, and then growing your buns. Why not, right? So these are 2 things that we're focused on this month. We run so many different challenges. We've done sleep challenges and other things, water challenges. All these things are totally free for you guys. You get a load of information. And it's just good to bring this value. So if you want to join that community Facebook page, just go to www.facebook.com/groups/CBG Nutrition Tribe. Okay, we'll see you guys there. Today, I have a really cool podcast about protein. Each macronutrient has sort of, over the past 10 years, received some sort of just backlash, right? Carbs are bad, fats are bad, protein's bad. It's pretty important to disseminate between this information. And that's what coaches like myself and coaches on our team, our certified health coaches, nutrition coaches, and registered dietitians are doing, and we're bringing that value to you. So when it comes to protein, it's been demonized in a variety of different ways and for a variety of different reasons. So to start, proteins in our diet are really the building blocks of life, and even in our muscles and in our DNA, they're the building blocks of life, right? And every living cell uses proteins for structural and functional purposes, right? So it's not just like you go to the gym, you work out, that's functional, but it's also structural purposes, right? And they're actually used in the synthesis and, provide a lot of information about how DNA is replicated in the body and all of these other biological phenomenons and processes that keep us alive, right? So proteins are basically long chains of amino acids, right? And they're sort of linked together. Each individual amino acid is linked together like beads on a string. And then once they're like beads on a string, they're folded into these complex shapes, and that gives them their properties. The structure of how they're folded gives them their properties, right? So they're essentially, funny word, they're 9 essential amino acids, right? And that you must get through your diet, okay? And 12 are non-essential, right? Which your body can produce from other organic molecules, right? So you can imagine how important protein becomes when there are 9 essential amino acids that you must get through your diet, right? That's the important part. You must get through your diet. So it's very important to make sure that you have food sources that have those 9 essential amino acids, right? So the quality of your protein source depends on its amino acid profile, okay? And the best dietary sources of protein contain all of the essential amino acids in ratios appropriate for the human physiology, right? So in this regard, animal proteins are better than plant proteins when it comes to the amino acid profile, right? And this is given that the muscle tissues of animals are very similar to that of humans. Pretty straightforward, right? Therefore, when we eat animal proteins, we're getting a lot more of the essential amino acids, and in distribution ratios that we need, right? Because our DNA is very similar. We're very similar in general. So currently, the recommendation for protein intake can vary pretty substantially. It really depends on what source that you're really looking at. But our recommendation typically for protein intake is somewhere around 0.8 grams per pound of body weight per day. And it can be higher than that, right? And it's found that 1 in 3 adults are not getting the daily recommended amount of protein that they need in a day, right? And it's been suggested that higher than 0.8 is necessary for people as they age, which is super important, right? So right now that I've given some sort of context around protein, I at least would like to go into some of the myths around protein intake, okay? And one of the first myths that I'd like to sort of debunk is that you don't need protein for breakfast, right? So I'm not even sure where this myth came from, but while you're sleeping, your body is sort of in a state of fasting, right? And protein's not delivered to your muscles. And getting a high protein breakfast is a great way to replenish your muscles' protein balance, right? So, but a lot of people in the morning, since there aren't a lot of protein options, if you're not an egg lover or eater, people will resort to a high carbohydrate meal for the morning. So like bagels and toast, things like that. So some other ways that you can get more protein in the morning is you can make like a ground turkey sweet potato hash that you can cook pretty easily. You could put protein in your oatmeal and do an overnight oats thing. You can also have like other dairy products like Greek yogurt and cheese. So all of these things have good protein content in them, and it's good to get enough protein in for breakfast. So what you should really be doing is not, and even if it's not breakfast, but it's another meal, right? You should always be getting protein in each meal. So that's sort of the myth is that you shouldn't get protein in it at each meal, or specifically breakfast. And what really actually works is aiming to get protein at every meal, including breakfast, to nourish like your body, satisfy your hunger, and start your day right with a high quality breakfast, that has all those essential amino acids, right? The other myth is that all protein is created equally, right? So we already mentioned that protein is made up of building blocks called amino acids, right? That's these beads that are connected together and then are folded in a variety of different structures. 9 of those are essential, meaning, your body has to have a daily supply of them to support normal growth, development, function, right? So a complete protein versus an incomplete protein. So a complete protein contains all 9 amino acids, essential amino acids, in the right amounts, right, to support that growth and function and development. Whereas an incomplete protein provides only some of these building blocks and needs to be combined with other sources of protein throughout the day. So sources like meat from animal products, animal foods like meat, fish, poultry, eggs, and dairy contain complete protein, right? While most plant proteins, except for soy, are incomplete, right? So I just want to state though, however, eating a variety of vegetable protein sources in a day, like grains and legumes, can provide enough complete protein, and that plant-based protein foods like legumes and whole grains offer ample dietary fiber and vitamins and minerals and other beneficial phytonutrients. So it's not that we should be neglecting some of those other foods. It's just to be aware that animal proteins and animal products are more likely to give you that complete amino acid profile and are therefore complete sources of protein, right? So what is the takeaway from this myth? The takeaway is that what really works is that you should try to include at least one source of high quality protein in each meal. Okay. And if you follow a plant-based diet, which is also a possibility, you want to mix things up by eating different kind of vegetable proteins throughout the day, because not one of them has the complete amino acid profile, but it could be that a mixture of them do, right? So you want to switch this up throughout the day. Peanut butter on toast for breakfast, rice and beans for lunch, stir-fried tofu and quinoa for dinner, something like this, right? And also, if you find yourself in a rush, there are several different plant-based proteins and obviously protein shakes like whey protein, casein proteins that you can buy. And, when it comes down to it, look, protein is expensive. It's way more expensive typically than carbohydrates and fat. So I think that protein powders are a really good bang for your buck, especially if you want to hit your protein goals. And this is a great way to start prioritizing protein in your life, is to have that one shake a day after your workout, right? So this is sort of, a key myth number 2 that I'd like to really outline for you guys. Number 3 is that your age doesn't matter when it comes to your protein needs. Okay. This couldn't be further from the truth, right? So age, in fact, does matter when it comes to your protein needs. And a lot of experts agree, and it's been shown in the scientific literature, that protein needs actually increase with aging and illness, right? Where, there are some, studies out there, especially back in the early 2000s, that mentioned that protein caused an increase of coronary heart disease, right? And, it's very important when you're looking at some of these studies to realize that it's about the quality of some of the beef and the other meats that you're actually intaking, and then also the total caloric intake that you're taking in when you're talking about diseases such as coronary heart disease. Protein on its own, however, doesn't cause a lot of these illnesses and diseases that we know of that are very prevalent now in the United States. So muscle loss in general is a part of the natural aging process. So, and calcium as well, like osteoporosis and things like that. And, this happens more and more as we age, right? And muscle loss in general, as part of that aging process, for some older adults, they can lose up to 8% of muscle mass each decade, which, if you think about it, is pretty substantial, right? And this is starting typically, depending on your genetics, around age 40, okay? So this can take a serious toll on some of your strength metrics and goals and energy levels, right? Making things that were once seemed very easy, like picking up a 30-pound box off the floor, etc. It might make those things seem a little bit more difficult, right? Which is very, very frustrating. On top of that, as you age, your body becomes less efficient at utilizing protein. So if you want to reap the benefits of protein, which, as we mentioned before, is really the building blocks of the muscle mass that you have, you're going to want to make sure that you're getting enough of it, right? So what actually really works for people that are aging and are above 40 is to start slowly thinking about increasing and being more consistent with their protein intake. So compared to younger adults, older adults, may need up to 1.2 to 1.6 times the amount of protein that's recommended for younger adults, right? And the best way to do that, obviously, is to consistently get in that protein throughout the day at different meals, okay? And even more importantly, as you get older, You're less likely to be in the gym as often. When we're younger, we're very competitive and we're in the gym 5-6 times a week. As we get older, it may be that we can only get to the gym 3 or 4 times a week. It's sort of what our body's capable of handling. And then other times, we're doing non-exercise activity, thermogenesis based activity. So like walking and, bike riding and stuff at sort of low steady state stuff, right? But when you get older, you may work out less. And when this happens, non-exercising adults or lower, frequency exercising adults should also think about increasing their intake of protein even higher, right, than the the recommended, amount. So it's definitely something to consider. And, finally, just, the recommended amount of protein also increases if an adult is malnourished because of an acute or chronic disease, right? So this is also something that I'm, if you're personally experiencing this or you have a family member, don't let them shy away from protein thinking that it's the problem, right? Because it could really honestly be benefiting them. So let's see here. Another myth that really is important for overall protein intake is that activity level doesn't impact protein needs. So as you can see here, a lot of these myths are around specific goals, personalized nutrition, and that everyone sort of should have a different intake around what their protein needs are. And, depending on who you are and what your activity level is, right? We all have different activity levels. You definitely need to have different protein requirements in your diet, right? So when it comes to protein, there isn't really a one-size-fits-all. As you age, right, as we mentioned, it impacts protein needs, and so does the activity that you're doing. So if you're an athlete and you hit the gym hard, right, you also need more protein, right, than someone that's a little bit more sedentary that wants to just kind of keep on their amount of muscle mass that they have, right? So the more muscle that you have, the more protein you need, okay, to make sure that you're getting it is what repairs our muscles, right? Protein is very involved in that process. So if you have a lot of muscle mass, you need to make sure that you're eating adequate amounts of protein, right? So timing for individuals of this type that have a lot of muscle mass is also super important, right? So in addition to eating various sources of protein each meal, right, it's important to really power up with protein-rich snacks after exercising. This is where that protein shake may actually come in handy for a lot of you, right? And I kind of take this for granted. I always think that everyone's on some sort of protein shake. But then, I talk to clients and I'm like, hey, so what protein are you on? They're like, no, I'm not taking a protein powder. I stopped like 3 or 4 months ago. I'm like, okay, we need to fix that now. Like, it's one of the easiest way to build habits around improving your protein amount. And, it's really great post-exercise because it really provides a fast-acting dose of protein to get to your muscles very quickly, especially when combined with simple carbohydrates, right? So it's important to sort of give yourself that dose post-exercise and to get into the routine and habit of getting online, finding a protein shake or a protein powder that you like, and utilizing it every day, right? I have a lot of clients make casein pudding at night, right, where they mix a casein protein powder with peanut butter, and they love it, and it allows them to get protein in consistently throughout the night, which is super important, right, to repair any damaged muscle tissue from their workout. So I think it's super important to get an adequate amount of protein, obviously, which is why I'm running a podcast on this, but one really, really slick way to do it is to make sure that you're getting in a protein shake a day, right? So that's myth 4. And I would say in regards to the last myth, it has everything to do with kidney damage, right? A lot of people say that, oh, you eat too high protein diet can cause kidney damage. This is true for people that have kidney diseases, right? Any disease associated with the kidneys. If you're eating too much protein, this could further exacerbate the kidney disease that they have. The kidney filters out, protein and other things like that. Become more difficult for people to do so when they have kidney disease. So the kidneys are a super remarkable organ, right? They filter waste compounds, excess nutrients, and liquids out of the bloodstream, and then eventually producing urine, right? So some people say that kidneys need to work, they need to work really hard to clear metabolites of protein from your body, right? Which can cause increased strain on the kidneys. So they say, adding more protein in your diet may increase their workload, but actually this increase is quite insignificant compared to the immense amount of work that your kidneys already do, right? So when it comes to the blood that your heart pumps, like 20% of the blood that your heart pumps through the body goes to your kidneys. So in an adult, that's 48 gallons of blood every single day. It's insane, right? So it is true, like I said, that high protein intake can cause harm in people that have been diagnosed with kidney disease. But it's a lot of studies that come out, especially in the past 5 years, regarding how this doesn't apply to people with healthy kidneys, right? So it's just, in conclusion, for myth 5, there's really little to no evidence that protein intake harms kidney function in people who don't have kidney disease. I mean, it's just that simple, right? So eating plenty of protein, just to summarize here, these 5 different myths around protein is, protein is a super important macronutrient. I think it's the macronutrient of the decade. It's been all over social media, and experts have come out talking about the importance of protein. There are 9 essential amino acids that you need. There are 12 others that are non-essential that the body can synthesize. Animal proteins are going to be better to getting those 9 essential amino acids in the percentages your body needs for overall function, and especially building muscle mass. Adequate amounts of protein are needed to build that muscle mass, prevent muscle loss, especially on a calorie-restricted diet. So for people out there that are looking to build, keep the same amount of muscle mass they have on and also lose body fat, you're going to want to make sure that you are eating enough protein. Super, super important. Also protein affects energy expenditure. So for people that are looking to lose weight, studies show that protein increases energy expenditure more than any other macronutrient. Any other macronutrient, right? So why not eat more protein? Why not buy that protein shake, right? Yeah, it's a $50 tub of protein, but look how many scoops you get in one jar, and look at that in comparison to 30 grams of protein from a steak. That's 5 ounces of steak. I mean, it's not, that's not cheap, right? So protein powders actually do have a really good bang for the buck. I think it's one of the best supplements out there. If you get a really good one that you like, continue to drink it every single day. Satiety is also super important for protein. So protein keeps you fuller for longer. Another reason that it might actually help with weight loss, right? Increased protein intake can lead to decreased calorie intake, and then eventually, a loss in body fat, which I know pertains to a lot of our goals as we head into summer and just for overall health and longevity. And protein can lower the risk of obesity. Very similar to the first point with satiety, is that, when you're eating more protein, you're replacing that protein with carbohydrates and fat, right? And that's how, you're able to protect yourself potentially against obesity, right? So there are a lot of different benefits of protein, and it's important to get enough in throughout the day. My recommendation to start off is around 0.8 grams per pound of body weight. So for someone that weighs 200 pounds, that's around 160 grams of protein per day, right? And track it some kind of way, right? Typically a fist, or let's just say a palm's about 4 ounces of protein, which is about 25 grams. So utilize that as sort of a portion size for yourself to understand how much protein you actually need. So, hey, I hope you guys enjoyed these tips today, all about protein, 5 myths that can help get you on the right track to understanding protein a little better, and then incorporating the right amount for you and your goals. Don't forget to join our Facebook page. Yeah, love you guys. Appreciate all of the listeners on here. And if you have any questions, find us at consistencybreedsgrowth.com, and I'll chat with you all soon. Later, team.
It's science.
Thank you for listening to the podcast today. We hope you enjoyed it. Keep tuning in every week for more incredible guests and ways to reach your max potential, both physically and mentally. Please subscribe on iTunes or your preferred podcast app and let us know if you liked this episode.
Science.
Don't forget to check us out at consistencybreedsgrowth.com
Science.
or on Instagram at CBG_online_sports for details on upcoming nutrition challenges or one-on-one coaching for weight loss, wellness, or performance. Also, feel free to join our free Facebook page at www.facebook.com/groups/CBG Nutrition Tribe.